Okay, this is Matthew Grant with Rogue Meteorology. I'm going to take you through how to do your own forecast using two websites, Météo Centre and another one called Spot WX. So I've got the two websites open right now. I like to start with this. It gives you the weather maps, gives you an idea of the overall weather situation, and that'll allow us to interpret the data later on. The first thing to do here is check the date. Right now, this is the early morning run for Wednesday. We don't want that. It's a little old, so we'll go to the 18Z as the latest run. Now what I'm going to do now is, for later, we're going to be comparing the Canadian model to the American. Right now I'm in the Canadian Meteorological Center GEM Regional, which is the high-resolution Canadian model. I'll be comparing it to the NAM model, so I'm just going to middle-click that to open another link. I may also take a look at the GFS, which is the American low resolution, and I'll take a look at the Canadian low resolution as well. Typically, since the storm is within 24 hours, I'll probably mainly be looking at the high-resolution models, though. So I'm just going to make sure that's loaded up. Okay, this is the NAM. So I'm going to click the precipitation link on both of them, and that'll bring us into the precipitation maps. And now these won't go ahead until you click play, so I just flip between these two. Click play to get them started. Alright, so just line these guys up here. Alrighty then. So, let's take a look at our system. Let's start at the beginning so we know when to stop when we get to the end. And we already had a low pressure system move through earlier this afternoon for Newfoundland. We have a second low pressure system that's a little tricky to nail down. So we're going to take a look at it here now. So the model starts at 18Z. You can see down here, 18Z being 1800 hours Greenwich Mean Time, or 18 Zulu. So roughly, we're going to just subtract 3 hours for Newfoundland time. No sense getting finicky with the daylight savings at this point. Half hour doesn't make a big difference in meteorology. So at 18Z, it should be 6 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, which would be roughly 3 p.m. Newfoundland time. That's what was happening. We were kind of in a mini ridge between two low pressure systems, one exiting into the Atlantic and this new one that's kind of bubbling up and developing as it draws near. 3Z would be near midnight, which is not far off of where we are now. The low is starting to develop. Take a note of the depth of the low, so it's at 999. As the night goes on, the low pressure system deepens a little bit. It actually looks like it doesn't deepen there, but I got a feeling that's just the model there. Holding steady at 1002. And you can see it's 997. I think there might be a little problem there just with the registering the lowest point in that low. I have my doubts that that a low pressure system will go from 998, jump up to 1002, and then dive down to 997. I suppose it's possible, but I have a feeling it's just a little glitch. We'll take a look at the NAM and see what's happening with that. Before we do, that low pressure system skirts south of Newfoundland and over the Grand Banks. It's got kind of this double barrel low, kind of looks like a Pac-Man ghost thing. And that's drawing some precipitation. Now on this chart we're just seeing the overall precipitation amounts and not the precipitation types. But on that side of the low and at the temperatures, I can assure you that that's all snow. Your first guess, you can look at the 540 thicknesses. That's down here. 540, 540, 540. So the 540, the red line, that's your first guess at 540 of where your change in precipitation is. Now, I mean it when I say a first guess. It's not something you live and die by, but we're well above that, so we're definitely in snow. And later on, we can check the precipitation type charts just to be double sure that we're in snow. So we have a little bit of snow coming down. We're in what, 1, 2, 3, fourth shade of blue, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're looking at about 3 or 4 maybe centimeters every 3 hours. So it's 3 hours leading up to 12Z, which is 9 a.m. for the 3 hours leading up to that, I should be specific. But the 3-hour time frame before that didn't bring us a lot of precipitation. So really, before 9 a.m. Thursday morning, we're not looking at a lot of precipitation based on the new regional. And then you can see as the day goes on, that system moves out and high pressure moves in behind it. Okay, let's compare this now to the American high resolution. So similar idea, lows already exiting into the Atlantic. We've got a ridge between two lows. This low starting at 998. We've got 12 midnight right now for us. Low pressure moves in. It's 995, 995, 993. So it's a deepening low. That's something we're going to have to keep in mind when we start looking at our precip totals. Because as the low deepens, you still get a lot of vertical lift, which will give us kind of a bonus amount of precipitation that the models aren't very good at picking up on. And similar idea, so low moves in. Looks like we might have a little bit more precip with NAM. Unfortunately, now we're going to be able to check that. What I'm going to do is just take a look at GFS. And the reason I'm doing this is NAM doesn't have great coverage for eastern Newfoundland. And NAM is the American high resolution. So what I'm going to do is compare the American high resolution to the American low resolution. And I do get numbers for the American low resolution. So I'm hoping that'll be a good approximation for what the American high resolution would say if these two models match up significantly. So again, similar idea. You can see how kind of smoother the lines are in a low resolution because they use less data. There's less specifics to kind of give those little twitchy isobars. Isobars being the black lines we have here. So at midnight, the low is not quite in yet. It's really slow moving in. 6 a.m. we have some precipitation. By 9 a.m. a little bit more. So it's not exactly what we're looking for. Let's just go frame by frame just to double check. So at 0Z with the NAM and 0Z with GFS. Oh, not bad. Let's go ahead frame by frame. So the NAM, the high resolution American versus a low resolution American, still not too bad. Not too bad. Oops, wrong way. And this is 3 a.m. Newfoundland time, more or less, give or take a half hour. And again, we're looking pretty good. And here's where it really counts. At 6 a.m. local time, position of the low looks similar, and the amounts of precipitation over the Avalon are quite similar, except for the southern Avalon. And at 9 a.m. local time, again, positions are similar enough. Precipitation with the NAM might be slightly higher. So I think GFS is a fine approximation for what NAM is. And we can assume maybe that the amounts with NAM, the high resolution, would be a little bit higher than what we'd see. Okay, so that's our weather maps. Now we're going to kind of change phases. So we know that the system moves in around 6 to 9 is our kind of critical times. So let's take a look at what the numbers look like for that. So I've opened up Spot WX and I've opened it for St. John's, which is what we're looking at. And I will middle click on GFS on the Go button. And I'll also left click on the regional so we can get the numerical data for that one as well. Okay, so we've got a few charts here with temperature, precipitation, which is going to be our main thing, wind, which will also be a big factor, and then some other things we're not too concerned with for winter weather. And likewise for the GFS, like I said, GFS is a low resolution model, so it has less data, but it allows you to see farther, making predictions up to a week out. So that's why its graph looks quite a bit different. So let's start with the regional. So we said our particular times that we're concerned is between 6 and 9. And temperature will be below 0 according to the Canadian model. I think I saw in the American that it actually popped up. And it pops up briefly above 0 near noon. Now the difference between these two websites is this knows we're in St. John's, so it knows that we're in Newfoundland time. So it corrects for that automatically. So when it says 8:30 here, it means 8:30 Newfoundland time. It's really smart like this. All right, so looking at our real concern here. So looking at midnight, we're not getting a lot of snow. Now, in the last model run, we would have had 4 or 5 centimeters on the ground by 3 a.m. In this new model run, we're not getting quite the snow that we would like to see some closures, those of us who are looking for closures tomorrow morning. According to this, only 8 centimeters in total, and that's including the not quite a full centimeter that we've already received earlier this afternoon. So that's not quite a lot. If, however, we take a look at what the winds are doing, the winds are getting to the high 30s. So by 9 a.m. we're looking at 36, 36 into noon. In the afternoon it starts to die around. So what snow we do have down could blow around quite a bit. So that's something to be aware of. And what we would have seen here, if there was any rain, we'd see another chart. Just to go back and show you guys what I meant by the precipitation chart earlier. Here it is, and now you'll be able to believe me when I tell you that it's snow the whole way through for us. And also we saw snow, 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 snow. And then looking out until the weekend, looks like we might have a little different picture. So it's not looking good for amounts in the Canadian model for tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at the American model, and we said it seemed like the low resolution was a good approximation for the high resolution, and that the high resolution might in fact have slightly higher precipitation amounts, higher snowfall for us. And if that's the case, then we'd be sitting pretty, because in terms of people who want closures tomorrow. So we have quite a few centimeters of snow coming this morning. Looks like over 14, snow total of 14.7. So that's looking pretty good for closures, especially with winds. Ooh, the winds died down quickly now. Winds at 65 kilometers, that's a sustained wind. So it could be gusting a little higher than that. Ooh, gust at 67, not much higher, but those aren't exactly correct all the time. Winds die down quickly, I'm a little surprised to see. But again, it's a low resolution model, so it's isobars, and that might not be where we would expect it to be exactly. So the snow totals are quite a bit different. 14.7 we said for the American model, low resolution. The high resolution we can expect a higher amount from if we were able to see that. Canadian high resolution models only given, well, 8 centimeters, less than 8 centimeters if you don't include the snowfall from earlier this afternoon. So that's not what we like to see as a meteorologist. Now we've got to make a call. So do we say Canadians right and say 8 centimeters, or do we say Americans right and go 14 plus? Keep in mind, however, this low is deepening. We didn't really see it on the Canadian charts, but like you say, I think that's more of a glitch in the chart. The American, it was a little more clear that system deepens as it brushes past Newfoundland. You can see it goes from 1003, 1, 998, 996, 995, 993 eventually, and 992. So as that low deepens, you're going to get more vertical lift in the system, which will produce more precipitation. So you can expect higher precipitation amounts than what the models expect. The models are not very good at picking up that vertical lift. So even if the model was expecting 8 centimeters, we'd expect it at least to be 10 centimeters. So we're looking at somewhere between 10 centimeters and 15, higher than 15, so between 10 and 20, which is a bit of a range. We'd like to bring that in. To be honest, I think regionals being a little stingy with the snow probably could end up quite higher than that. So I'm tempted to go with the American. Now there's one other factor as well, which is the 850 millibar level. 850 millibar temperatures. So let's just take a quick look at that. Now, what you'll notice here is the temperatures are quite cold in the air aloft. The times that we're concerned with, 6 said we are looking at a upper air temperature of between -5 and -10. And then it doesn't quite get to -10. On the Canadian model. Let's take a look what the American says. And the reason I'm looking at this is that's going to change how the ice crystals form in the upper atmosphere. The colder it is, the fluffier the snow is in the end. You'll have longer ice crystals. So that's that kind of dusty snow that we love. We don't mind. We don't love it. I'm not going to say that we love shoveling, but we certainly don't mind it when all you have to do is flick the shovel and all the snow just kind of wafts away. All right, so according to the American chart, we're going to have slightly colder upper air temperatures, closer to -10, and then it warms up a little bit as the day goes on. So we're definitely going to see that light, fluffy snow. So on top of it being easy to shovel, with the same amount of water in the atmosphere, you can have higher snowfall totals. Because each snowflake takes up much more room, your snowfall totals will actually be higher. So it's kind of the win-win kind of snow. It makes your snowfalls higher, and also it's easier to shovel. So we kind of get the best of both worlds out of that kind of snow. So it's nice when the upper air is really, really cold. That's the real Christmas time snow that we're looking at. All right, so we've got it pretty much locked down. We know that starting around 6 a.m., somewhere before 6, this is a snowfall until 6 a.m. So between 3 and 6, we're going to start seeing some decent snow. Not as much as I would like. I'd like a little bit more in there, but you know, you can't choose everything. Snow develops through 9 a.m. By lunchtime, we still have a little bit of snow, and then afternoon, the snow starts to die down. So that's our overall idea. We said we're looking at probably 15 to 20 centimeters, especially considering it's going to be fluffy snow, so it could even be higher than that. The winds will be blowing that snow around quite a bit, especially in the morning. The winds slowly die off as the afternoon wears on. So it's going to be hard to plow the roads. I mean, you can plow the roads when the snow stops, but if the wind blows the snow back in the streets, you still have to plow those roads. So it's going to be a little tricky to keep the roads clear. I would say as the afternoon goes on, it will be easier to see clearer roads as the wind dies down and the snow also dies down. The question is, people are asking whether the closures will continue into the afternoon, and that's a bit tougher call. We'll have to wait and see how the roads fare under all the snow that we'll get in the morning. All right, so that's the forecast for January 8th. We've done it on January 7th for Rogue Meteorology. Thanks for tuning in.